He is our Chief Product Officer. He is for sure one of my absolute favorites when it comes to running through our products because he just makes it so pedagogic and understandable. And obviously, we do have so many different products that we can brag about, but there is one product that I would say I really have gotten a lot of testimonials on, specifically over the past year. And I'm not necessarily going to go into that, but it's a product that we might not sell as much as we should. So I think that in that relation, it's always good to have a thorough run through. And we're talking about Zinogene. And I'm not going to speak more. I'm just going to give the word over to our absolutely amazing Chief Product Officer, Colin Robertson.
Thank you, Hilda. Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're well at the start of a new week. This is my second time today talking through this. And I'm always mindful that I don't want to repeat something exactly how I've done it before. But there's going to be a lot of similarities because we're going to talk through Zinogene. And Hilda, as you just said, certain products, not just in our catalogue, but in the world, are niche. They have a very specific purpose. But Zinogene, really now, when you consider that we have a global population that is aging, that means more and more people every day, every week, every month, every year would benefit from taking Zinogene because that's what it's all about. And again, I know I say a lot of things the same. We all age. It's a privilege and it's an inevitability. We all age, and it really is a gift. But how we age is entirely up to ourselves, and it's all dependent on the choices we make, the things that we do, the things that we don't do, where we show restraint, and where we show absolute non-negotiable commitment to doing the right things so that we can actually invest in our health and empower better outcomes. And I used this morning, I think it worked, I'm going to use it again now, because you're all entrepreneurial, you understand business, finances way more than me, I promise you. If you want to put me in a weak spot, let's talk about those things. What I want you to think of is health in the context of investment. And think that today, no matter what age you are, you decide you're going to start to make an investment in your health. Okay. And you're going to start to invest, on food choices and activity. But I want you to think of that in the context of buying stock. So you've decided you're going to buy Zinzino stock every month and you're going to invest €200 every month to buy stock. Now I can see Peter Demore here, and Peter and I have had several conversations about stock. Still don't get it, but I know that he is really good at investing in stock. And let's say Peter, I don't know how much, but let's say Peter has been committing that amount of money for the past 10 years, and I join in now. And for the next 2 years, I invest the same amount every month as Peter Demore has been investing for the past 10 years. Who has invested more in their health? Even though we're now investing the same, Peter's got 10 years ahead of me. 10 years. So what I would need to do to catch up on those 10 years is generate the same amount of financial commitment and put that in to catch up, and then we'd be even. Zinogene is how you catch up on missing investment. Zinogene is how you start to put things back to where they should be. That's the power of the product. Because there's too much mythology around aging. So yesterday, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but I'm going to announce it again. Our very own Jacob Speaker from corporate, who you all know and love, took part in his first ever triathlon, first ever Ironman over in Valencia, 1.9 kilometer swim, 90 kilometer bike ride, 21 kilometer run, all back to back, first ever time, tremendous. He's in the same age category as me, believe it or not, and he did a great time. Phenomenal time for someone having their first go at that sport. However, when I was tracking him all morning, watching his progress, when I was watching this and the results came through, I wanted to see, well, how did everybody else get on? So Jacob amazingly did all of that in 6 hours 15. Incredible. The winner, the professional, did it in 3 hours and 40. But the 70 to 74 category, male, so a man in the 70 to 74 category, he did it in 5 hours and 41. So all of this, well, I'm getting old now and I can't do what I used to do. And isn't that too much? And maybe I should do less. All that I hear all the time. It's you convincing yourself. That's your own. If you can either buy into your excuses or you can invest in your reasons. And all of this notion about how we age physiologically is based on our choices. And so to me, Hilda, to pick up your first point, Zinogene should be in that top 2 list of what we sell, because the potential for it and what it achieves is enormous. And so now, with the remainder of time, and I'm not going to take up the whole time, I'm going to take you through some slides. We're going to zoom in on Zinogene. So I want you to understand how the formulation works, what components of the formulation do what, so that you can have confident, empowered conversations about this with your family, your friends, your community, your customers, because so many people will benefit from the product. It's as simple as that. So it's not a real presentation unless there's pictures. So I'm going to bring up the slideshow. Here we go. Strap yourselves in, make notes. And let's commence looking at Zinogene. Zinogene Plus. So remember, it's a plus product, which means all of the ingredients and formulation is all naturally derived. And I know that means a lot to a lot of people. And it actually means a lot in the context of this product. And I'm going to explain why in a moment. So the notion of Zinogene is out with the old and in with the new. What do we mean by that? So our cells, all those 37 trillion cells, they are turning over, replenishing, dividing, splitting on a daily rate. That's a part of the aging process. In fact, what happens is not only do they slow down, but we get an accumulation of cells that have been spent, senescent cells, dysfunctional cells. In order for us to have a fully functioning cellular environment, we want to normalize the aging process, which means we age at the right rate, and better facilitate repair and restoration. Your body does this 24 hours a day, and really powerfully so when you go to sleep. It's one of the key benefits of sleep. So your body, these cells are turning over on a daily rate, and the body is repairing, it's restoring, and it's coming again new. And remember, every cell is a copy of the cell that went before it. And so if the cell is in really good condition and it divides and it multiplies, you get 2 cells in really good condition. Then you get 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, boom, 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 37 trillion of them. And that's why addressing health at a cellular level is so important. Because if you just pay attention on how you accurately lay each and every brick of your house, you're going to have a really strong, robust house. If you pay attention on how you nurture every single one of your cells, you're going to be in the best place when it comes to your health. It's simple. It's the stuff you're made of. And so we want to make sure that the new cells are given space to function, to operate and do what they need to do. And the old cells are gone. And it's the accumulation of old cells that advances the aging process. You may have heard me say before, because I say it a lot, I don't believe in anti-aging. I believe in normalizing the aging process. I believe that if more people aged at the right rate, we'd feel like we were surrounded by young people. The problem is now is that people age too quickly. And so we think of it as anti that because that's what's become normal, because it's common, but it's not normal. It's just common. It's just where the world is at, along with a host of other problems. And so our senescent cells, imagine now, we sometimes call these zombie cells. These senescent cells, they've done their purpose. They are spent, they've expired, but the body hasn't got rid of them. And things like hydration, water, good food choices, physical activity, exercise, exposure to sunlight, all these things help to eliminate those senescent cells. But they're all the things that the general world around us does less and less of. Remember, we live in a top-heavy society when it comes to poor health. Only 7 to 8% of people living in the USA have what we call good metabolic health. The tide is really working against us. What's normal is that people have an increased accumulation of these spent senescent cells. And so, the way I want you to think of these senescent cells is imagine you had a really simple task. You've just got to open a door and walk through it. That's all you got to do. Really simple. Open the door, walk through. Not difficult. But now I want you to imagine you've got to do the same task, but right in front of you are 40 people, and they're moving really slowly. And you've got to get through those 40 people, open the door and walk through the door. It's a much more difficult challenge. And when we look at physiological, biological processes, anything that slows them down or delays them never leads to a good outcome. We want the system to be efficient. It knows its own biological rate. And so these 40 people stood in front of the door, they are slowing down, they're delaying what should be really, really simple. But then what you've got to imagine is that because cells are turning over all the time, we're accumulating more and more senescent cells. And so 40 people today in front of the door could be 80 people tomorrow, can be 160 people the day after, and by next week, you might have 10,000 people stood in front of the door and you're trying to get through. And this is where you really see a pronounced advance of the aging process. Slow, delayed cellular activity. And so we want to enable the body to move these senescent cells on. And so Zinogene works on supporting the body to eliminate the senescent cell and then the manufacture of better cells. I'll come back to that in a moment. So stem cells are at the forefront of modern medicine. And the two most powerful avenues of modern medicine are gut, advances into gut health and understanding of gut, genuinely. So the most advanced laboratories, clinicians, scientists who are working on health are focused on the gut or STEM. And STEM is really powerful to the extent that certain countries around the world have written laws, because just because you can doesn't mean you should. You have to be careful. There has to be an ethical and moral judgment in place with regards to how far we take stem cell technology, because it's profound. And the reason being is that when you unleash stem cells, which the body manufactures normally, these cells, they can function like specialized cells. They can fill in the gaps. So where they see a deficiency or a problem, these stem cells, well, they will go and address the situation. And they will replace damaged or lost cells. So they are remarkable. But the good news is the body will produce these naturally, and we can facilitate that through dietary choices. Again, something I've discussed a lot is about epigenetics, and that really matters in the context of this product because it relates to gene expression and it relates to how our body behaves, not just the DNA or the genetic makeup you've inherited from your parents and your grandparents and all the way back. And so what we want is to forget medical interventions for stem cell. What we want to do is support our body's natural production of stem cells. So we want to eliminate cells that aren't there. We want to invest in new, good, healthy cells. And we want to operationalize stem cells that are going to work on our behalf to address matters that are going maybe not the right way in the body. That's it. All through a dietary mechanism. Safe, reliable, contained, ethical, and moral. It's as simple as that. So, Zinogene gives your body a helping hand. And that's all it does. You're not taking stem cells. You're not adding something to the system that shouldn't be there. We're adding powerful, powerful components that will support the body and enable the body to do what it should do. We normalize the aging process. That's exactly what we do. Out with the old, we get rid of those senescent, those zombie cells, and in with the new. Freshen it up, clear the way to the door to let the new cells come pouring through. So let's have a look at the natural senolytics. So these now are the key ones that are going to address that eradication, that elimination of those senescent cells that are literally bogging down, slowing down the system. So we come straight in with curcumin, which most of you will know in itself. is a powerful anti-inflammatory. And Hilda didn't go into testimonies this time, but I know that one of the common testimonies that we get from people who commence using Zinogene is a reduction in pain. So they might have had osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, things that people always say, oh, well, I'm getting older now, which drives me mad. But actually, curcumin is a really powerful anti-inflammatory. And we know that those phytonutrients in balance oil act as an anti-inflammatory. And we know that omega-3 itself is a part of the resolution of the inflammatory curve. But there's different types of inflammatory markers. And curcumin, with those curcuminoids, is a really powerful, time-proven method to manage them. And we use Hydrocurc, which is a patented formulation, which increases the bioavailability, makes it water-soluble. And so what you have is a really highly functional, absorptive format of curcumin that the body can make use of. I've mentioned the gut once, and this is not a gut chat, but you do have to recognize that people's food choices can create a barrier to absorption to foods. And if they've been making not so good food choices for a number of years, then there's a certain amount of sustained damage. And yes, we can put that right. We can start to invest better and we can start to improve things. That's why everybody, as far as I'm concerned, should 100% take balance oil and commence xenobiotic to feed the gut. But this plays a part in that as well. This plays a part in that as well. And this enables bioavailability, enhanced absorption, regardless of what situation the person might be dealing with individually. Then we go into piperine. Biopiperine, another patented formulation, which is a high concentration of antioxidants, and it's another bioavailability enhancer. So piperine itself is an antioxidant. So it's going to start to eliminate those free radicals. It's starting to look at cellular repair and protection. But now we get into the art, the craft of synergy when it comes to a formulation. Not only looking at what other people do, put as much as you can in, which doesn't work. If only it did. It's looking at that relationship between components and how can one better enable the other? How can you overall impact on better bioavailability given the ratios and the coordination of the contents? And so here, piperine is playing a really potent role from an antioxidant point of view, but it's also enhancing the bioavailability of the other parts of the formulation. Then we get into quercetin, which is a flavonoid. And all the sources of where these have come from are being highlighted here. But again, what we're looking at, it's a flavonoid. So what we're looking at is protective properties around DNA synthesis, and we're looking at something that's powerfully antioxidant. So again, we're looking at how we can not only protect and preserve, but we're looking at creating an optimized environment whereby the new cell, the better cell, has more opportunity to flourish. And you're creating a more efficient system, which is pushing out and mobilizing those unwanted senescent cells. And then we get to fisetin, which again is another flavonoid. So again, we haven't just looked at, well, we'll have one flavonoid and we'll have one type of antioxidant. It's really looking at how you build up a synergistic layered context of a product to work on multiple levels. Because biochemistry, which is essentially the communication pathway of all physiology, relies on the placement and interaction of key components at a key place. And you're trying to work with those systems and enable so that there is a sufficient amount available in the right place at the right time, and that you have a throughput that is continuous. So you're not overwhelming the system, you're not desensitizing the system, you're creating a stable, even though dynamic, stable system, whereby those new cells, those good cells can flourish, and those unwanted cells are kicked through the door. And now we're going to focus on those new cells because we want better cells is better us. We're invested in the future of who and what we want to be. So we start with those fucoidons. And now these actually really play quite a dual role here because they essentially create a Teflon and a kind of non-stick surface. So it makes our cells agile, makes them dynamic, makes them able to move, and it also actually facilitates easier movement of the senescent cell. So we've got this far more cellular efficiency, far greater environment for cellular efficiency in place. Then we get to zinc, which is the second most abundant in the world, in the universe, in you, and it protects the cells from oxidative stress. We talk a lot about oxidative stress or oxidation in the terms of the fish oil and protecting it from oxidation. But you have to bear in mind that our cells and our processes and our cellular function and lots of things within need also protection from oxidative stress. And that's what zinc does. And so now we're not only looking at how we provide sufficient amounts of nutrients, how we optimize the cell, but we're also looking at how we protect those new cells. And it has a huge role in cell division and DNA synthesis. Back to epigenetics. Remember, one cell turns to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, boom, 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 boom. 37 trillion. And each one is a copy of the other. And then our DNA, our synthesis of DNA, that lends straight into our gene expression. So if you want to be a better version of you, if you want to be a healthier, more robust version of you, you invest in the quality of the cell. The cell divides, you get a better copy of a better cell, and then the future looks bright. Nutritional health is the super highway to optimizing all human health. And this is part of the mechanism that enables that to happen. And then vitamin C. And I know you all know about vitamin C. Everybody does. And still, year after year, it ranks in the top 5 for common deficiencies. Everyone knows where to get it from. It's widely available. It's abundant. And still, we face a huge challenge with regards to its deficiency. It's a driver towards our immune function, our endocrine function. It's active within the cell. Blah, 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 antioxidant, and protects the cell from oxidative stress. And so there we go. Protecting, enabling, and encouraging, pushing out the old and introducing the new. And so now when you look at the box and you look at the ingredients list, you can divide it in two. What aspect of this is pushing out and getting rid of the old and facilitating a better environment? And which one is operationalizing the new? Making better new cells flourish and enabling the body's own tendency towards stem cell production to fill in any gaps. Out with the old, in with the new, and I'm going to finish with the dosage recommendations, which is typically the most controversial part with this product. You get 30 tablets in a package. Our recommended dose is 1 tablet today. You are the outcome of the things you do most often, and consistency is always key. And it is a spring clean for your body. And that is pretty much everything on a product that I know a ton of people would want to ask questions about, but I'm not so sure we have the time and space in this talk. Maybe we can take a few. I'm not in charge at that point. But I will finish by saying that a common one is what age is good to start. So the minute you turn 21, 22, you've finished the growing aspect of life and you commence the aging aspect of life. And then we start to get more pronounced aging, depending on what we do and choices we make, really from 40, 45. So I would advocate that anyone of the age 45 and above is going to get a really profound, measurable benefit from this. But I'm also a huge advocate of preventative health. And so let's be honest, we don't wait till we're 40 or 45 and then suddenly age. It's gradual. So it could be that depending on your lifestyle and the things that you've done and where you live, age 30 is a good time to start taking that one a day. Introducing those antioxidants, introducing those really powerful formulations, ingredients that can only contribute positively towards your overall dietary intake. And on that note, I could talk all day, Hilda, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to hand back. And if we want to ask for any questions, or I'm easy, where should we take this?
Oh, beautiful delivery here, Colin. I absolutely loved your presentation, and I know that every director on this call as well did. There is Colin, myself, I have been doing a spring clean twice a year. Now I'm actually considering doing it rather 4 times a year, once every quarter. And then I also do one tablet each day for consistency, like you also strongly are advocating here, Colin. So again, I absolutely love this product, and I think that we should thoroughly promote it to everyone that we meet.